Welcome back to Hardware Unboxed. Today we're once again focusing on AMD's new desktop Raven Ridge APUs. At this point, I'm sure you know just about everything there is to know about these new Vega infused CPUs. That said though, if you're planning on buying the cheapest model, the seriously good value Ryzen 3 2200G, and you want to save every last dollar possible, you're probably asking yourself the question, A320 or B350? Since Ryzen's release, budget builders have had the choice between one of two chipsets. The lockdown A320 with no overclocking support, or the B350 that gives users the freedom to overclock their Ryzen processors to 4 GHz and, well, not beyond, just to 4 GHz. I've always recommended that viewers shy away from the A320 models. They allow for a $10 to $20 saving, but it's my opinion that the trade-offs just really aren't worth it. That said, if you never intend to overclock, resale value isn't something you care about, and the complete lack of flexibility when it comes to memory upgrades won't bother you, then getting a $50 A320 board might make sense. For $10 more though, you gain the ability to overclock, and with the Raven Ridge APUs, that means CPU and GPU overclocking, neither of which is possible on the A320 boards. So just to reiterate, because I have seen a bit of confusion around this, you cannot, and I repeat, cannot overclock the Vega GPU in the Raven Ridge APUs on an A320 motherboard. Then if you're willing to spend an additional $20 over a basic A320 board, so $70 in total on the motherboard, that'll give you the pick of some great overclockers that are well stocked with plenty of nice features, and you also get 4 DIMM slots for flexible memory upgrades in the future. My personal budget-friendly favourites include the ASRock AB350 Pro 4 and MSI B350 PC Mate. Now, if you're just upgrading an old system, you'll be in need of the Ryzen 3 2200G, obviously, an AM4 motherboard, and at least 8GB of DDR4 memory. The 2200G will set you back $100. A dual-channel 8GB DDR4 3000 kit also costs about $100, and then you need a motherboard. What I'm getting at here is the total package with an A320 board starts at about $250 US, or alternatively you're faced with a $270 US bill with a decent B350 board, and that's only an 8% increase for the upgrade. So what do you get for that extra investment? Overclocking aside for just a moment, you do get quite a few extras for that small investment. For example, the audio implementation is much better on the ASRock AB350 Pro 4 opposed to the ASRock A320M. You get 2 extra SATA ports, an extra M.2 port, many more PCIe slots, a decent VRM with passive cooling, more USB 3.0 ports, plus you also get a USB Gen 1 Type-C port. And, well, it's a similar story with other B350 motherboards, such as the MSI B350 PC Mate, for example. What's interesting is while ASRock lists the A320M as having support for DDR4 3200 memory via overclocking, I wasn't actually able to get either of my Raven Ridge APUs working at this speed on the A320 board. In fact, 3066 failed, and I even ran into a few stability issues with 2933, forcing me down to 2666, and here, thankfully, the system was actually stable. So I went and got my hands on the most expensive ASRock A320 board, the A320M Pro 4, and at $65 it makes little sense, but I wanted to see if the memory support was any better. Again, I was unable to post with the 3200 Extreme Memory Profile enabled, and this time I was forced to run at 2933, which did appear to be stable. I should note that increasing the DRAM voltage on either board didn't seem to help. Now, I'm not saying all A320 motherboards won't work above the spec for the memory, but I tried 2 different boards and neither worked, and I suspect the same might be true for the ultra cheap $60 B350 boards that share the same physical design as the budget A320 models. However, as I said earlier, if you spend a little more on models such as the ASRock AB350 Pro 4, these memory compatibility issues seem to go away, and on this particular board I was able to run at DDR4 3666 without any issues. Although Ryzen CPUs are sensitive to memory frequency, normally I'd say for budget buyers this really isn't a big deal. However, with the Raven Ridge APUs it really is a big deal. Dropping down from DDR4 3200 to 2933 will reduce frame rates by 6%, and going from 3200 to 2666 is about a 12% reduction. So while the A320 board might offer a 7% saving overall, here it was at least 6% slower, and that alone really cancels out any savings. Then of course there is the issue of overclocking, and I'd encourage all Raven Ridge owners to give it a go. The Ryzen Master software makes overclocking within Windows quite easy, though I would still suggest applying these settings in the BIOS if you can. In any case, taking the Vega 8 GPU embedded in the Ryzen 3 2200G from its default operating frequency of 1.1 GHz to 1.5 GHz is really easy, and this 36% bump in frequency will net you some really nice gains. If you missed my 2200G overclocking guide where I showed you how to extract around 20% more frames in games with a basic air cooler, then be sure to check that out. Again, I would just like to remind viewers that it's not possible to overclock either the CPU or the GPU on the A320 boards, so the Vega 8 GPU will stay fixed at 1.1 GHz under load. By my own estimates, you stand to quite easily extract 50% more performance out of the 2200G for gaming when paired with a B350 board using DDR4 3200 memory, so to me that alone seems well worth investing 8% more in the upgrade package. So in a nutshell, I'd certainly invest that little extra because you get a much better product and just a much better overall result with greater flexibility and more options in the future. It also might not seem like a big deal right now, but in a few years' time, I believe the B350 boards will be much more sought after on the second-hand market, and therefore they will command a higher asking price. So budget shoppers would be wise to keep that in mind. Finally, I'd also go as far to say that gamers pairing a Raven Ridge APU with an A320 board have really found the perfect way to spoil the potential of a great value product. And on that note, I'm going to end this one. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, subscribe for more content, and if you appreciate the work we do here at Hardware Unboxing, consider supporting us on Patreon. You'll gain access to our Discord chat and the monthly live stream between Tim and myself. Anyway, as always, thank you for watching. I'm your host, Steve, and I'll see you again next time.